Xena leaned in, her eyes burning with contempt. "If you think I'll ever trust a human, you're more foolish than I thought." Mark's jaw tightened. "And if you think I'll let you face this alone, you're dead wrong." Xena stepped off the shuttle onto the Celestial Harmony, the grand space cruiser humming with energy. The cruiser's sleek corridors, lined with advanced technology and luxurious decor, contrasted sharply with the tension knotted in her stomach. Her mission was clear: negotiate a peace treaty with the humans, a species she loathed deeply. As she walked through the ship's opulent hallways, her gaze sharp and unyielding, a tall human fell into step beside her. Mark, a seasoned peacekeeper, had been assigned as her bodyguard. His calm, professional demeanor only fueled her irritation. "I don't trust you, human," Xena snapped, not breaking stride. "Stay out of my way, or you'll see why my people fear no one." Mark's jaw tightened, but he kept his voice steady. "I'm here to protect you, whether you like it or not. The only way we get through this is together." The tension between them crackled like static. They reached the main conference room, where delegates from across the galaxy had gathered. The atmosphere was thick with anticipation and unease. Xena's contempt for the human delegates was palpable, her icy demeanor adding to the strain. Throughout the opening session, Xena's hostility was evident. Her sharp retorts and cold glares created a palpable barrier. Mark, standing vigilant beside her, tried to mitigate the tension with his calm presence. Yet, the gap between them seemed insurmountable. After the session, Xena retreated to her quarters. The luxurious room offered no comfort. She stared out at the vast expanse of space, her thoughts a storm of resentment and duty. Her hatred for humans was rooted in a past conflict that had devastated her people, and she struggled to reconcile her mission with her emotions. A soft chime interrupted her thoughts. The door slid open to reveal Mark, his expression serious. "There's been an anomaly detected in the ship's systems. We need to investigate." Xena's instinct was to refuse, but duty overruled her disdain. She followed Mark to the control room, where the crew had found evidence of tampering. The realization of a possible sabotage plan forced Xena and Mark into an uneasy alliance. As they delved deeper into the mystery, Xena couldn't ignore Mark's competence and dedication. Despite her prejudice, she had to admit he was efficient and resourceful. They discovered a hidden device in a maintenance duct, confirming their fears. "We need to work together," Mark said, his voice firm. "This isn't just about us. It's about the peace we're here to protect." Xena's response was reluctant. "I still don't trust you, but we need to stop this together." Their investigation led them to suspect a group of extremists from both human and alien factions. They worked late into the night, sifting through data and interrogating crew members. Xena's animosity began to thaw, if only slightly, as she saw the depth of Mark's commitment. After a long day, they stood in a quiet corridor, sharing a rare moment of understanding. "Perhaps there's more to humans than I thought," Xena admitted. Mark nodded. "And maybe there's more to you than just your anger." The next morning, Xena and Mark met in the control room, their investigation already underway. The cruiser hummed with life as delegates moved about, unaware of the lurking danger. The evidence of tampering they had found hinted at a much larger plot. Mark pointed to a schematic of the ship. "The anomaly was detected here, in the engineering section. We need to check it out." Xena nodded, her initial reluctance giving way to a sense of duty. They made their way through the sleek corridors, the tension between them now tempered by mutual purpose. In the engineering bay, they discovered signs of sabotage: wires cut, circuits fried, and a hidden device rigged to cause a catastrophic failure. "This is more serious than we thought," Xena said, her voice grim. "Whoever did this knew exactly what they were doing." Mark agreed. "We need to find out who's behind this and stop them before they can do more damage." They split up to cover more ground. Xena interrogated the engineering crew, her sharp questions and piercing gaze leaving no room for evasion. Meanwhile, Mark analyzed the security footage, looking for anything suspicious. Hours passed, the enormity of their task becoming clearer. As they reconvened, Mark shared his findings. "I've identified several individuals acting suspiciously. They all belong to different factions, human and alien alike. It's a coordinated effort." Xena's brow furrowed. "We're dealing with a conspiracy. But why? Who stands to gain from sabotaging the peace talks?" Mark's expression was serious. "Extremists. There are groups on both sides who believe peace is a threat to their power. They'll do anything to stop it." Their next move was clear. They needed to identify and neutralize the saboteurs. As they continued their investigation, a pattern emerged. The saboteurs were using encrypted communication to coordinate their efforts. Cracking the code became their top priority. Working late into the night, Xena and Mark grew more accustomed to each other's presence. Despite their initial animosity, they found themselves forming an effective team. Mark's analytical mind complemented Xena's incisive intuition. At one point, Mark looked up from his work. "You know, for someone who claims to hate humans, you're surprisingly good at working with one." Xena shot him a look, but there was a hint of a smile. "Don't get used to it." Their breakthrough came just before dawn. They cracked the encryption, revealing the saboteurs' plan. A bomb had been planted in the main conference room, set to detonate during the peace treaty signing ceremony. "We don't have much time," Mark said urgently. "We need to find that bomb." They raced to the conference room, their hearts pounding. The room was empty, the delegates not yet assembled. Xena's keen eyes scanned the area, while Mark used a scanner to detect explosives. There, Mark pointed to a panel beneath the main table. They carefully removed it, revealing a sophisticated bomb. Xena's hands moved deftly, guided by years of training. Mark provided support, his steady presence calming her nerves. After a tense few minutes, they disarmed the bomb. Xena let out a breath she didn't realize she'd been holding. "That was close." Mark nodded, wiping sweat from his brow. "Too close. But we did it." "Maybe we're not so different after all," she said quietly. Mark smiled. "Maybe not. Now, let's finish this." The following morning, the celestial harmony buzzed with an undercurrent of tension. Xena and Mark, armed with newfound mutual respect and determination, prepared for the confrontation. Their investigation had led them to a secluded section of the ship, where the saboteurs had hidden themselves. Xena's heart pounded as they approached the maintenance bay. Her past animosity towards humans was eclipsed by the pressing need to stop the saboteurs. Mark's steady presence beside her was oddly reassuring. "Ready?" Mark asked, his eyes meeting hers with a seriousness that matched her own resolve. Xena nodded, her voice firm. "Let's end this." They burst into the maintenance bay, weapons drawn. The saboteurs, a mix of human and alien extremists, were taken by surprise. Chaos erupted as the saboteurs scrambled to defend their position. Xena and Mark fought side by side, their movements synchronized in a deadly dance. Xena's combat skills were unmatched, her every move precise and lethal. Mark's strategic mind and quick reflexes made them a formidable team. A saboteur lunged at Xena with a knife. She deflected the attack with ease, her counterstrike swift and decisive. Nearby, Mark disarmed an attacker with a well-placed kick, sending the weapon skittering across the floor. Amidst the melee, Xena spotted the Spectre, the leader of the saboteurs. He was setting a timer on a bomb. Her blood ran cold as she realized the extent of their plan. She shouted a warning to Mark. "Bomb. We need to stop him." Mark nodded and charged towards the Spectre. The leader was ready, though, and a brutal fight ensued. Xena joined Mark, and together they overpowered the Spectre, disabling the bomb just in time. But the victory was short-lived. As they secured the Spectre, another saboteur aimed a blaster at Xena. She didn't see it, but Mark did. Without hesitation, he threw himself in front of her, taking the full force of the blast. "Mark!" Xena screamed, her voice raw with panic. Mark fell to the floor, his breathing shallow. Xena's hands trembled as she knelt beside him, desperately trying to stem the bleeding. "Why?" she whispered, tears blurring her vision. "Why did you do that?" Mark's eyes fluttered open, a faint smile on his lips. "Because peace is worth any sacrifice." Xena's heart ached with a confusing mix of gratitude and sorrow. She called for medical assistance, her voice urgent and commanding. The remaining saboteurs were quickly apprehended by the ship's security team, but Xena's focus was solely on Mark. As medics arrived and began treating him, Xena felt a profound shift within herself. Her hatred for humans, which had been a constant companion, was now a fading shadow. Mark's selfless act had shattered her prejudices, revealing the true nature of courage and humanity. The saboteurs were taken into custody, their plan thwarted. Xena watched as Mark was carried away on a stretcher, his bravery leaving an indelible mark on her heart. She stood in the aftermath of the battle, the maintenance bay now quiet except for the hum of machinery. The weight of what had transpired settled on her shoulders, mingled with a newfound clarity. The final day of the peace conference dawned with a sense of cautious optimism aboard the Celestial Harmony. Despite the chaos and danger of the previous days, the delegates gathered once more, determined to see the treaty signed. Xena stood at the forefront, her gaze sweeping over the assembly, her mind on Mark, who lay recovering in the medical bay. As the delegates took their seats, Xena took a deep breath, stepping up to the podium. Her voice, strong yet reflective, carried through the room. "We stand on the brink of a new era. This treaty is not just a document, it symbolizes our shared hope for a peaceful future." The room was silent, her words resonating deeply. Xena continued, "I must acknowledge the bravery and sacrifice of Mark, a human who risked his life for me. His actions taught me that trust and cooperation can overcome even the deepest divides." Mark's absence was palpable, but his influence was undeniable. The delegates, inspired by his courage and Xena's newfound respect for humanity, prepared to sign the treaty. The atmosphere, once tense and fraught with suspicion, now hummed with anticipation and a sense of unity. In the midst of the signing ceremony, Xena's mind wandered to the moments of collaboration and understanding she had shared with Mark. She had seen his unwavering dedication, felt his genuine commitment to peace. It had changed her, softened the edges of her hatred, and allowed her to see the possibility of a better future. The signing proceeded smoothly, each delegate adding their mark to the historic agreement. Applause erupted as the final signature was placed, sealing the promise of peace. Xena's heart swelled with a mixture of relief and hope. The mission she had once dreaded had transformed into a journey of personal and collective redemption. After the ceremony, Xena made her way to the medical bay. Mark lay on a recovery bed, his wounds healing. His eyes brightened when he saw her. "Looks like we did it," he said, his voice weak but triumphant. Xena approached, her expression softening. "We did, and it's thanks to you." Mark shook his head. "It was a team effort. We both had to set aside our prejudices and work together." Xena nodded, taking a seat beside him. "You showed me that not all humans are the enemy. You changed my perspective." They sat in companionable silence for a moment, the weight of their journey hanging between them. Xena's gaze drifted to the window, where the stars stretched out in a vast expanse. "I used to think my hatred was justified," she admitted. "But now I see it was a barrier. You helped me break it down." Mark reached out, his hand covering hers. And you've shown me that even the most entrenched barriers can be dismantled with understanding and courage. The bond forged between them was unspoken but powerful. It symbolized the new beginning for their respective species, a testament to what they could achieve together. As the celestial harmony prepared to return to Earth, Xena felt a profound sense of change within herself and the universe around her. "Thank you, Mark," she said quietly, "for everything." He smiled, a warm, genuine smile that lit up his weary face. "The future looks brighter already, doesn't it?" Xena nodded, hope blooming in her heart. "Yes, it does."